Hey y'all, it's Will, the Deep Sky Dude. I've got a quick video for y'all today. This isn't so much of a review, it's going to be more of a demo of one method to clean a telescope mirror. If you use your telescope a lot, you know that it's going to get dusty, it's going to get water spots on it, it's going to get all kinds of pollen, smoke particles, whatever's in the environment around you is more than likely going to end up on your optics. In this case, I need to clean a 22-inch mirror. This is a big project. Normally, you would clean it with water, get distilled water and do that whole thing, which that's a different video. This one, I'm going to try a product that I've been seeing around the astronomy circuit for a little while now. It's some interesting stuff. It's like a polymer. And so what we're going to do is we're going to clean this mirror with this polymer. And I'm going to show y'all my methodology for that process. Again, this is not a review of their product. This is like me learning how to use their product for future cleanings of this and other telescopes, which this stuff would be great for Schmidt Cassegrains, refractors, Maxitov Cassegrains, camera lenses, binoculars, stuff with sealed optics that you can't use water on would be fantastic for this stuff. But as you're going to see, it's going to work really well for getting the dust off my mirror too. There's another process for removing the water stains and the water deposits that are on your mirror. I won't be showing that in this particular video. I'm just going to show y'all how I got the dust off with this particular product. Yeah, so this stuff is called First Contact. It's made by Photonic Cleaning Technologies. And this is the stuff they use for LIGO. They use this stuff for research institutions. It's some hardcore awesome stuff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to coat an O-ring. I got this O-ring at just a normal hardware store. And this is what's going to protect my center donut spot. So the donut is the little thing in the middle that helps you collimate your telescope, tells you where dead center is. And so I'm going to protect that, not rip it off with this polymer, by building a little polymer dam, if you will. And I'm going to dam up the liquids from getting into the donut area. So I'm going to apply a little bit of that polymer around the donut, and then I'll just set the O-ring on where the donut is. And I coated the O-ring so that it would kind of marry up to the polymer, kind of stick together. And that actually ended up working out pretty well. So now that I've got my O-ring down, I'm going to basically just apply this polymer in here gently. I don't want to move the O-ring. Obviously, I got it exactly where I want it. I'm just going to apply this polymer around the edge and, again, create a seal, create like a dam to hold back this liquid that I'm about to spray. Now, you can put this polymer on your optics any way you like. They include these little fingernail polish style dispensers. But I'll show you here in a second. They have all different types of ways to dispense this stuff. You can spray it, you can paint it on, you can pour it on. Pick your poison, if you will, with that application process. Now, just to hold the O-ring down, I used just a simple quarter. Okay, that's probably, you might want to use a little more weight, but you also don't want to have something that can come off and hit your mirror at some point, right? So just a little bit of weight with a quarter I figured would be enough to hold that O-ring down. Is almost an insurance policy to keep any of that polymer from getting on my donut. You can see here I'm taping over these Velcro pieces. These Velcro pieces hold the what I call the glider sling on my Obsession. That's basically what holds the mirror onto the mirror box is a cable. And these little Velcro tabs hold that in place. I don't want any polymer on that, so I'm going to tape it off. So here's a big bottle of this stuff. I don't know exactly the milliliters here. I'll put that down in the description. There will be links to all these products in the description, of course. And I'm going to spray. The method that I'm going to use here is to spray this material. So you can see I've done a few test shots, and I'm kind of learning the product as I go here. I've used this stuff before, but to clean a refractor, and I used the paintbrush method with that. That worked really well, actually. That got all the dust off my objective of my refractor. Without me having to wipe or do any kind of weird stuff, it worked really well for that. You can see as I'm spraying it here, the stuff that is bouncing off the mirror hits the air and immediately dries, and I guess becomes almost a solid. It almost makes this like spider web kind of stuff. And I talked to the company and they said, hey, that's normal. We call it spider webs too. So just as a quick heads up, you may want to do something like this outside, in a shop, in a garage. So this is layer 1. As you can see, I went for a pretty thin layer. I think this is kind of the methodology that the company asks for. So I'm going in with coat number 2, and I'm just gonna make sure that I'm getting the whole surface here. You don't want to paint the surface, right? You don't want this to look like an amazing paint job on a project you're working on. The goal of this stuff is to grab on to every atom of dust that's on your lens or your telescope or whatever. It's going to grab onto that stuff and dry around it. And then later, when you peel this stuff off, everything is going to come with it, basically, except for the water stuff, which you'll see here in a minute. I will note that they gave me some sprayers with this, and those sprayers worked pretty well. I'm not sure if you can reuse those, though. Basically, when I was done cleaning this 22-inch mirror, that sprayer was done. It was gumming up, and I guess that polymer was sort of solidifying in there. They may have some literature on how you'd want to maybe salvage that sprayer, or maybe if you're just doing this once a year, that $2 sprayer is worth the cost. Okay, so that was coat 2. Moving into coat 3. I'm also concentrating some of this on the edge, and that was just, my own thoughts on this product. Maybe I needed to make sure it was kind of thick at the edges to make sure that when I peel, I got it all. The last thing I wanted was to start peeling this stuff and to have it be too thin in an area where I would then have to apply more polymer to get it off. So I think you can actually probably stop at 4 or 5 layers, depending on how you're applying it. Next time I did this, I would stop at 5 or 6 layers, I think. As you can see, I'm not necessarily going on, I'm not holding back material. I'm kind of giving the mirror as much of this polymer as I can at this point. I was giving each round of this about 10 to 15 minutes to dry, and that seemed to be sufficient. And as I was going along, just checking the dryness before I would start my next layer. I'd say all in all, the whole project here took me about an hour, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But again, you got to wait for this stuff to kind of set up before you spray your next coat, just to make sure you've got it a good coverage. And you can see the different layers of it as I'm going. And you can see that in reality too, even while you're spraying it, because you kind of know where you need to spray and where you've already been. It's not like it all melts together and it's really hard to tell. It's actually pretty easy to use in that respect. And again, here I'm just concentrating on that edge. I want to make sure all this stuff comes off. And I'll let the mirror dry. You can see that this is about halfway to dry. It's hard to tell how much you have on there, but I can tell you that this right here is more than enough. So if your mirror or your optic looks like this, you're probably ready. After at least 3 or 4 or 5 layers, you're probably good to go. Okay, so I'm just testing the material, and I think everything was good here. So I start by removing the quarter. That's going to really give me an idea of how thick that stuff is, which is a really cool aspect of using something like a quarter. And you can see already that polymer is wanting to come with it, so I'll get rid of the quarter just in case, sometimes people are clumsy, and the last thing you want is a quarter, slingshotting itself into your mirror. So you can see here, I'm just peeling it away. And, you know, when you get this stuff off, it looks like saran wrap or some kind of plasticky, thin material. And you can see already the amount of dust that it's removed. Everything else that's on the mirror is water deposits and water spots. So this stuff, I mean, it removes every inch of dust. Also, you can see a little bit here, there's a little bit of polymer still in the middle. And I'll be able to get that stuff too. I would also recommend putting tape around the whole perimeter of the mirror. That's going to keep some of this stuff from getting on the sides and being too thin to pull away true. While it won't hurt your mirror to have polymer on the side of it forever, it's probably best to get all of it off that you can. And to do that would be a lot easier with tape around the edges of the mirror. So I just reached down there and grabbed that middle ring of polymer and pulled it off. You can see this ball of material was once liquid inside this bottle, and now we've turned it into a saran wrap mess. All the dust and all the particulate that was on the surface of my mirror is now inside that polymer. So there you go. I just wanted to show you guys and gals what I was doing with this first contact polymer. Again, this stuff is fantastic for small optics. If you have small optics, you can't just start pouring water on your Schmidt-Cassegrain hoping that it's gonna clean it. Also, don't just get a cotton swab and start wiping your Schmidt-Cassegrain objective or your refractor. Don't do that. Don't wipe optics ever. It's always best to use something like this. Do not rub your optics ever. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and if you have any experience with first contact cleaner, I would love to hear about it in the comments. If not, thanks for watching. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you in the next one.